Mesa City Council meeting. I'm Vice Mayor David Luna. The mayor is out of town and excused from the meeting. We have Councilmember Glover on the phone. Are you there, Councilmember Glover?
Yes, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Before we begin the meeting, I'd like to have a moment of silence for all the people that have suffered the tragedy from Hurricane Irma and Harvey, and to remember September 11th, 2001. We all know where we were at when we first heard. It's a day ingrained in our memories, ingrained in our nation's consciousness. So on this 9/11, let's reflect and remember the passengers on the 4 airlines. Remember all those in the World Trade Center. Remember fire, police, medical personnel, and all first responders who came to the aid and ran towards the burning towers. And remember all those who have lost their lives or loved ones on September 11th. Let's have a moment of silence, if you will. Thank you. We will begin our meeting with an invocation from Pastor Rick Temke with Via Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Thompson. Please stand.
Would you please pray? Dear wise and loving Father, first I want to say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health that we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thanks as well for the freedom to embrace you or the freedom to reject you. Thank you for loving us even so, from your boundless and gracious nature. We thank you for the grace that you have shown our nation through and since the tragedy that we experienced 16 years ago today, and we remember. Thank you for your protection over Texas and Florida residents during these epic storms that they have weathered. And we pray that you would be with the response teams and cleanup efforts there as well as Texas. In the scriptures, you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, today I pray for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular, this assembled council. I am asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, that you would grant them a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, grant them a keen thirst for justice and rightness, grant them confidence in what is good and fitting, give them the ability to work together in harmony even when there's honest disagreement, and we pray that you would grant them personal peace in their lives and joy in their task. I pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Mesa. And it's in the name of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that I pray. Amen.
Please join me in our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Temke, and thank you, Councilmember Thompson. Appreciate it. We have a presentation by Chicago Cubs commemorating the 2016 World Series champion. So if I could have Chief Financial Officer Greifenkamp, and I practiced that, as well as Justin. Every March, Mesa, Arizona becomes a center of baseball universe when spring training and cactus leagues return to our city. This past spring was even more special as we celebrated the World Series championship in our very own Chicago Cubs, who have held spring training in Mesa for more than 50 years. It's my pleasure to welcome the World Champion Chicago Cubs organization, Chief Financial Officer Greifenkamp, and Justin Piper, Spring Training Operations Manager. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, for having us. The World Series championship brought us a great deal of pride in Chicago, and this championship belongs every bit as much to the city of Mesa as it does to Chicago because of all the support that this city has shown to the club over the years. We can't thank the mayor, the city council, the city manager, and Mesa residents enough for helping the team in our quest to win the World Series. You partnered with us on a plan to build a championship caliber training facility, as well as a great destination for tourists and baseball fans, many who live right here in Arizona. We're incredibly proud to call Mesa, Arizona our spring home. The results have been amazing. Not only did we win the World Championship in the memorable October run and November run of 2016, but we've set a spring training attendance record each of the last 4 years. And more importantly, we're glad to know that this partnership will continue for several decades. Thank you all for believing in our promise, and thank you for your commitment to us. We truly couldn't have asked for a better partner than the city of Mesa in this journey. As a token of our appreciation, we're very happy to present this artwork, which features our actual World Series championship ring as a sign of appreciation to the city of Mesa, and we hope that you'll display it proudly. For those of you that can't see it up close and personal, the World Series championship ring was designed and produced by Jostens. It features the traditional Cubs bullseye logo crafted out of diamonds, rubies, and sapphires. The bezel is made up of 108 diamonds, signifying or lifting the Cubs logo to victory and signifying the 108-year championship drought. We hope this will be on display for all the community to see and relive this historic championship moment. Thanks again to Vice Mayor, to Council, City Managers, and the City of Mesa. We really appreciate your support, and again, look forward to seeing you at Sloan Park in 2018.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Greifenkamp and Mr. Piper. We're going to take a photo opportunity.
Yep.
So I'm going to invite council to come down with me so we can take a quick picture.
Thank you. That's why I wore my suit. We'll put the vice mayor there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Where is that ring? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Chris, is that going in your office?
Thank you so much, Chicago Cubs. Very proud of you and proud of what you do for Mesa. We truly appreciate it. Next item is to take action on the consent agenda. Mr. Randy Polliker is going to read the agenda for approval. And just to let Mr. Polliker know, we do have 3C, which will only be pulled from the agenda. So if you wouldn't mind not reading that one.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and council members. These are the items on the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk will be considered as a group by the City Council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion unless a council member or citizen requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. If a citizen wants an item removed, a blue card must be completed and given to the city clerk prior to the council's vote on the consent agenda. Item 2, approval of minutes of previous meetings as written. Item 3A, act on liquor license application for East Mesa Food Market, 723 East Main Street. Item 3B, act on liquor license application for Bisbee Breakfast Club, 2909 South Dobson Road. Item 3C has been pulled from the consent agenda. Item 3D, act on liquor license application for Wedgwood Wedding and Banquet Center, 1742 North Lindsay Road. Item 4A, act on contract to purchase workstation furniture for the police department. Item 4B, act on one-year renewal contract for the software subscription for electronic patient care reporting for the fire and medical department. Item 4C, act on one-year term contract for Hexagon computer-aided dispatch licenses and services for the Mesa Police and Mesa Fire and Medical departments. Item 4D, act on one-year renewal contract for uniform garment rentals for various city departments. Item 4E, act on 4-month extension for the term contract for elevator vertical transportation unit maintenance for citywide facilities as requested by the Parks, Recreation, and Community Facilities Department. Item 4F, act on contract for life cycle replacement purchase of Wi-Fi technology for the Police Department as requested by the Information Technology Department. Item 4G, act on contract for PC cycle replacement program for purchase of computers, ruggedized laptops, and tablets for various city departments as requested by the Information Technology Department. Item 4H, act on contract to purchase one replacement asphalt paver for the Transportation Department. This purchase is funded by the Local Streets Sales Tax Fund. Item 4I, act on one-year renewal contract for emergency response, non-emergency response, and household hazardous waste support for the Environmental Management and Sustainability Department. Item 4J, act on dollar limit increase to the term contract for Secure security access system upgrades as requested by the Police and Water Resources Department. Item 4K, act on contract to purchase workflow software, support, and training for the Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition System and the Computerized Maintenance Management System as requested by the Water Resources Department. Item 4L, act on 3-year term contract for major repair services for Caterpillar generators for the Water Resources Department. Item 5A, act on resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with Maricopa County and the City of Phoenix for reallocation of grant funds from the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program. The funds will be used to purchase body-worn cameras, handheld fingerprint scanners, and software. Item 5B, act on resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into an award agreement with the Arizona Attorney General's Office to accept grant funds from the fiscal year 2018 Victims' Rights Program, which will be used for salaries and employee benefits of 2 victim notification clerks at the Police Department's Mesa Family Advocacy Center. Item 5C, act on resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into a 3-year intergovernmental agreement with the Mesa Unified School District to accept funding for salary and benefits for Mesa Police School Resource Officers working under the Department of Education School Safety Program. Item 5D, act on resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with ADOT concerning the construction, abandonment, and acceptance of right-of-way of Val Vista Drive and roadway improvements from Inverness Avenue to US 60. Item 5E, act on resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into a development agreement with Loop 202 and Elliott Road LLC relating to property located on the northwest corner of Elliott Road and State Route 202 for the purpose of opting into the Elliott Road Technology Corridor zoning overlay. Item 5F, act on resolution extinguishing a 20-foot public utilities easement located at 4425 South Mountain Road. The owner requested the easement to accommodate future development of a vacant commercial property within a neighborhood retail center. Item 5G, act on resolution extinguishing portions of public utility and facility easements, site visibility easements, and a stop sign distance easement located on lots 180 to 182, tract VV and tract OO, and vacating a portion of South Flux Lane right-of-way at Eastmark Development Unit 3-4, parcels 34-1 through 34-3. The property owner has requested this to accommodate a redesign of a portion of the subdivision plat. Item 5H, act on resolution extinguishing 2 public utilities and facilities easements and a 20-foot public utilities easement located at 3110 North Greenfield Road. The owner has requested this to accommodate development of a proposed Falcon Field Business Center. Item 5I, act on resolution extinguishing public utility easements, drainage easements, and a temporary drainage easement on Lot 5 and portions of Lot 6 and 7 of the final plat for Mesa Shores Shopping Center, Unit 2, 1930 South 24th Street. The owner made the request to accommodate a 325-unit Class A apartment development. Item 5J, act on resolution vacating a 30-foot strip of right-of-way of East Banner Gateway Drive located at 4710 East Baseline Road. The property owner made the request since the strip of right-of-way is no longer needed. Item 5K, act on resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into an amendment to and future amendments to the purchase agreement and master lease agreement with Pinal Land Holdings LLC for property located in Pinal County currently owned by the City of Mesa. The amendment allows for the phased takedown of the remaining city-owned property subject to certain conditions and provides for the disbursement of and credit for certain funds paid for the granting of a power distribution easement on the property. Item 6A, act on resolution setting October 16th, 2017 as the public hearing on the assessments for property located on Haas Road, beginning at Guadalupe Road and ending approximately 900 feet south of Baseline Road. Item 6B, act on resolution approving the assessment diagram map for the Haas Road Improvements Project on Haas Road between Guadalupe Road and approximately 900 feet south of Baseline Road. Item 7A, introduction of ordinance regarding A17-002, annexing property located along the 9200 through 10,800 blocks of East Elliott Road. The property includes the current and future Elliott right-of-way between Ellsworth Road and Signal Butte Road. This was initiated by the City of Mesa. Item 7B, introduction of ordinance regarding Z17-034, the 6,000 through 6,300 blocks of South Power Road. This is located south of Williamsfield Road between the northbound and southbound lanes of Power Road. Rezone with a council use permit to allow for residential uses in a commercial district and site plan review. This request will allow development of a multi-residential development with commercial and retail services. Item 7C, introduction of ordinance regarding Z17-036, the 2,900 through 3,000 blocks of East Southern Avenue and the 1,000 through 1,200 blocks of South Los Alamos Road. This is located east of Lindsay Road on the north side of Southern Avenue, rezoned and site plan review to allow development of a single residence subdivision. Item 7D, introduction of ordinance regarding Z17-038, the 4,700 through 4,800 block of East Baseline Road. This is located east of Greenfield Road on the north side of Baseline Road. Rezone and site plan review to allow development of a multi-residential development. Item 8A, act on subdivision plat Jacinto Place, the 2,200 through 2,300 blocks of East Jacinto Avenue on the south side. This is located north of Baseline Road and east of Gilbert Road. Item 8B, act on subdivision plat Eastmark Development Unit 6, infrastructure for parcels 4-6 and 9-23. The 3,900 to 4,700 blocks of South Eastmark Parkway, the 9,900 to 10,200 blocks of East Point 22 Boulevard, and the 4,000 to 4,400 blocks of South Everton Terrace, located north and east of Ray and Ellsworth Roads. Item 8C, act on subdivision plat Eastmark Development Unit 6 South Parcels 6-10 to 6-15, the 9,900 to 10,200 blocks of East Point 22 Boulevard on the north side, and the 4,400 to 4,700 blocks of South Eastmark Parkway on the east side, located north and east of Ray and Ellsworth Road. Vice Mayor and council members, these are the items on the consent agenda.
Thank you,
Mayor,
Mr. Policar. Mr. Brady.
Mr. Policarki, come right back. We just want to make sure, abundance of caution, where we hear tracking, could you just read 5K one more time?
5K?
Yes, please.
Act on resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into an amendment to and future amendments to the purchase agreement and master lease agreement with Pinal Land Holdings LLC for property located in Pinal County currently owned by the city of Mesa. The amendment allows for the phased takedown of the remaining city-owned property subject to certain conditions and provides for the disbursement of and credit for certain funds paid for the granting of a power distribution easement on the property.
Is that your 5K? What is your 5L?
5L, I do not have.
All right. So, I'm going to give him mine.
Did we miss one? Approving, item 5L, approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into the First Amendment to...
5K.
This is 5K.
You're
Okay.
reading 5K.
Item 5K, approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into the First Amendment to the existing development agreement with NKS Group 3 Limited Partnership for the property located on the northeast corner of Elliott Road and Haas Road for the purpose of encouraging future development of the property.
Thank you, Mr. Policar, for that quick reading. Appreciate that. And we've got everything settled. Is that correct? Thank you so much. We have requested to speak on item 3C, so that item was removed from the consent agenda. And I did receive a blue card from Mr. Marvin Manros. Mr. Marvin Manros, would you please come forward? And you have 3 minutes to speak.
Take action on the consent first.
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped up. Okay. Can I have a motion for the consent? And it was made by Councilmember Thompson, seconded by Councilmember Freeman. Can you please cast your vote? And Mr. Glover, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Okay, great. The motion carries. Thank you. I apologize for that. Mr. Manros, you have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, council members. Thank you for this opportunity to address you. This is a rather unique situation that we have here. This is going to be, they're seeking a liquor license for a sushi restaurant. And Mr. Nam's brother-in-law is the head sushi chef. He's not going to deny that. He's not just an employee, he's a critical employee. The head sushi chef is why people come to the restaurant. If you recommend approval of this application, you will be ignoring the fact that this man is putting his brother-in-law in charge of the restaurant. He's disregarding the fact that he's been fired from practically every job that he ever had as a sushi chef for drinking. Drinking on the job. He has a DUI for 3 times the legal limit. That's darn near dead. And he got that right after leaving work. It'd be easy, I suppose, to say that this is not relevant because Mr. Nam is not the person that is accused of being a drunk. But he's putting that person in charge of his restaurant and serving the customers, and it's in the city of Mesa, and you're endangering the citizens by allowing this man to empower his brother-in-law. You're ignoring the reality that this is creating a problem. It's also ignoring the fact that Mr. Nam and his brother-in-law essentially looted the Sushi J restaurant, loading up 3 truckloads of equipment and property from that restaurant and took it over to the house of a convicted felon who ultimately opened up another sushi restaurant and hired Mr. Chung as his head sushi chef. Of course, that didn't last very long because he fired him. The general manager basically has told us that he's a psycho drunk. I'm hoping that this information and the information that our clients have presented in writing will convince you that you should not recommend approval to for this application. Someone should investigate further. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Manros.
You bet.
Mr. Smith?
Vice Mayor and Council, maybe I could just, we talked about this in the study session, but for those in the viewing public that weren't watching at that time, maybe I'll just really quickly summarize the role that council plays in this. The state statute and the state liquor board govern this process, and council is acting in an administrative function and provide a recommendation. Ultimately, the state liquor board makes the final determination, and they also do the investigation. A particular person, if they want to make an objection, can also make it at the state liquor board and before that hearing and require a hearing and investigation. So even after this, there's the opportunity for Ms. Leal, who's been represented by council here, to make these accusations. And so also, as I said in the study session, Mr. Nam is not being accused of the applicant is not the person that did many of the acts that Ms. Leal accuses in her written statement. The concept, council just used the word looted, and I just want to be careful because I think there was some inflammatory language that was just used. It's not fair. It wasn't even used in Ms. Leal's complaint, and so I don't think that's a fair representation. There's a pending bankruptcy between 2 former partners. One is Ms. Leal and one's Mr. Chung. Their partnership dissolved, and there was a question regarding the dissolution of assets at that time. That's an impending bankruptcy. And so that's, that matter is still yet to be resolved. And so the allegation that Mr. Nam has looted something, to our knowledge, there's no criminal case or any police report to that effect. There is something in the bankruptcy case involving conversion, and his attorney has filed a motion to dismiss him out on that, and that hasn't been resolved. So anyways, before council is really 3 options. One is to recommend approval, one is to make no recommendation, or one is a recommendation for denial. All of those are recommendations to the state. And I don't know if you want to have Mr. Nam come up and address some of those accusations or not, or I think he came up and talked at the study session. I don't know if that's necessary, if council wants that.
Mr. Nam, would you like to speak on that? Mr. Whitaker, do you have a question for Mr. Nam?
No, for Jim. On what grounds would we not approve a liquor license? Is it our responsibility to look at who they're hiring as their employees to make that determination, or is that completely irrelevant?
Vice Mayor and Council, there's 12 grounds. The state actually puts 12 grounds for that in which the council can make a recommendation for denial. The only one that is even potentially applicable is the one that says that people that live or lease property within 1 mile can come and testify, and you can take that testimony. So to the extent that you heard that testimony, that's what you can hear. But there is no specific criteria for an employee. And in fact, the criteria, just so you know, even for an applicant for a DUI conviction, the applicant, unless they have a felony conviction, can still get a liquor license. A DUI conviction, a misdemeanor DUI conviction, the liquor board will only view it in the sense of a character issue, and usually only if there's multiple convictions. We discussed that with an investigator today. And so, and obviously Mr. Nam is not even being alleged to have any conviction. And so there is no specific criteria that says that who you hire is grounds for denial, though.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Mr. Nam, would you like to state it?
So what happened to and what's happening to between Ms. Liao and Mr. Chong is pretty personal. And then Mr. Chong is not putting me for his restaurant. This is my restaurant. I put all my money for this restaurant. And then, because I think I'm ready to open my own restaurant and run my own restaurant, right next to Cub Stadium. So I don't know why she keeps, giving me this situation, related to Mr. Chang. So I just want to say this is my restaurant. Mr. Chang is strictly 100% my employee. So I'm gonna control him. He cannot drink, during the work. So I'm going to make sure, he's not going to make any trouble anymore.
Thank you, Mr. Nam. Mr. Whitaker?
Do your articles of incorporation mention Mr. Chung in any regard at all?
No, sir, this is on my
Okay, thank you.
independent LLC.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Can I have a motion to approve item 3C? Mr. Smith? Oh, did you have a question, Mr. Freeman?
No, I was going to make a motion.
Okay.
Yeah, and so just as a recommendation for approval, this would be the motion.
Yes, on 3C.
And could I have a second? Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Freeman and seconded by Councilmember Thompson. All those approved, please cast your vote. Councilmember Glover, are you present to vote?
Yes, I vote aye.
Okay. The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're going to move on to item number 9A. We just heard a presentation on this item earlier in our study session, but we are required to have a hearing at our formal meeting. So I declare a public hearing open. Ms. Mickelson, does anyone in the public want to speak on these items?
No request, Vice Mayor.
Do any council members like to speak to address this item? I declare the public hearing closed. Item 9B, this is approving the Mesa Southwest redevelopment plan. Is there a motion approving the resolution?
Second.
So it's been, let's see, let me get the vote here. It's been moved by Councilmember Thompson, seconded by Councilmember Freeman. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Mr. Glover, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 10, items from citizens present. We did receive a blue card from Jerry Barron. Mr. Barron, would you come up? Please state your address. And you have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jerry Barron. Address is 15119 South 231st Way. I'm a resident of Mesa, Arizona. Been a resident for over 50 years. When we bring up the conversation of Ghostwriter, you're aware of Ghostwriter very well, I know. The last year we've been over trying to pass a bill. At first, I want to thank the city of Mesa for helping us in that process. That bill didn't get passed. And so for the sake of it not being passed, what I'm here for today is to ask if the Mesa would continue to work with us to try to open Ghost Rider where we can build our houses. We've been in that process for over 10 years. And in 10 years, all we've been able to do is pay tax on that land. Can't build, can't do anything out there. All the land around us is developing. And so what I guess I'm asking for today is that you would consider coming along beside of us and helping us to develop that. You know the number of acres is, I believe, 23 acres out there. And you know where the location of what they're building. They have some very luxurious homes out there. So I guess what I'm asking today is that you would consider and come along with us to try to help us at least look into ways we can come together as we have before to develop this area, because of the fact we've got 23 people that are still doing nothing but paying taxes every year. So I guess that's about it with us. And I do appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barron. This is, item is not agendized, but we appreciate you coming forward to speak on
Okay.
it. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 11 is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn? Been moved by Councilmember Thompson and seconded by Councilmember Freeman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.